it's eye-opening what goes on in a public gym, just what people are trying to do. And I mean, I joined a public gym. I train folks out of the house, out of the garage, the gym that I've built. But I'll go to the public gym to just get out for a little while.
Yeah.
And I go to Get Fit over there on 8th, and there'll be some people doing some crazy shit in there. Like I'll have to go. You want to pick your battles and not interrupt.
So you'll say stuff.
There's been a time or two. I just
you're like you're gonna hurt yourself.
Yeah. Like, sir, I'm sorry. You tell me to go fuck off, but we gotta address this.
So, really appreciate you coming in. I love following you on Instagram, which is like, I think you've done an awesome job at branding.
Sure.
And I think you do, what I think makes you different than a lot of guys I see, is I think you do a really great job of balancing between folks like me who are just like kind of in shape, and then like these almost like ridiculously jacked steroid dudes. I feel like you put a lot of thought into like where you're gaining muscle and all that. I mean, Is that true? Or how, like, what's your routine, or how are you like thinking about lifting and staying in shape and working certain parts of your body?
I mean, I guess it just depends on obviously the style of lifting that you're going after, what you're trying to accomplish. Like some people lift for aesthetics, some people lift for functional reasons, some people lift for general health. I mean, you name it. There's a reason. Everyone has their own reason to do something. Lifting's no different. I mean, back in the day when my knowledge was very slim, I was very much bodybuilding only.
Right.
Where that's, you develop a certain aesthetic when you're only doing, bodybuilding type workouts.
Right.
In my knowledge.
No, I was gonna say. So, what would those work? Would that be more like Olympic style, like power cleans, or?
I'm saying like when I think of bodybuilding now, training as I've progressed in my career, I think of just training in a phone booth, not really working in all the planes of motion, just isolating the biceps or the triceps or the chest, or going in and say like, let's go do a back day. I think that's, now, for me, there's nothing wrong with that, but there's a time and place, but I think that's a very kind of archaic way to train now, and not very, not as functional. So, I mean, I kind of still, implement functional bodybuilding, aspects to my training, but it's now more so, trying to stay athletic, trying to, move in all the planes of motion, all that good stuff.
Do you recommend, like, if you have a client, do you recommend that they do more functional training, like try to stay athletic versus just getting big? Because it seems like being big for big's sake isn't maybe the best thing for you.
Right, and that's never a point of emphasis that I would implement with someone. Now, mind you, if someone came in to be, 110 pounds soaking wet, and they needed to pack on some weight, that would be that client's particular need. I'm trying to, get you to move your body functionally, move your body in the correct way, be as efficient as possible, and not go out in the world and hurt yourself while picking something up.
So, what are some examples of like functional workouts that people are doing? I mean,
I'm thinking, carries, anti-rotational movements.
What's a carry?
Like a farmer's walk.
Like just holding kettlebells and walking 100 yards.
Dude, that's the best way to build your core. Things like, side plank is such a underutilized anti-rotational movement. Things of that nature. That's how you build your core. I'm not trying to, when I train you for like core purposes, I'm not trying to have you do 1,000 crunches. That's not how you see those abs that you want to see. Your abs are made in the kitchen by what you eat. I'm trying to strengthen your core so you go out and be strong in your other movements, that can correlate and translate to your other movements.
Is that where you typically start with, like, let's say a new client who's not really lifting a lot or doesn't have any experience? Is it, let's get certain parts of your body ready to actually lift heavy weights?
Well, so you have to, test, and you have to, see where they're at. If they, if they have weak abductors, if you have to do squat assessments, posture assessments, see what's, if their hips are off centered, if they have, interior pelvic tilt, things along, if they have a protruding, neck, things along those lines. So you can see what needs to be addressed, how that they can train. I have buddies that train only sport specific, but I'm training more of the general population. I mean, I have trained professional athletes and things along those lines, but so many people just don't know how to use and move their body properly.
Right.
Which is a, huge task. You go out and get hurt doing something, and that whole thing of if you don't use it, you lose it really comes into play, and people don't use their bodies in an efficient manner, so they lose certain motor skills, they lose balance, all that kind of stuff.
I feel like me, especially too, with how much I sit for work. Like my hips are so, and my butt are so weak.
Sure.
Like I remember like having to like think about firing my glutes when I walked because like it was all like quads.
Sure, man.
And my girlfriend at the time who worked out was big into butt workouts, and she was like, why are your thighs so tired when you walk up a hill? Like my butt gets tired.
Yeah.
And I was like, I don't know. Like, I guess I'm not using it very much.
It's funny you say that. I mean, everything's centered off your hips, and I've kind of transferred a lot of my knowledge into the mobility side of things. And you'd be surprised that the desk-bound person, like you're talking about,
Yeah.
a lot. Your thoracic spine would be so tight too. That's your back.
Which thoracic spine?
So you have your lumbar, your thoracic. Why am I blanking on one? Thoracic, lumbar, and it'll come to me. But lumbar is lower, thoracic is up top, and that cervical.
Okay.
Spine. Yes.
There we go.
There it is. So your thoracic spine is meant to move. Say someone were going to lift overhead, like lift a barbell overhead. You want them to be able to go straight up overhead. If you see people going forward with that press, it's because they have a tight thoracic spine right there. It's
right.
You're not going to be able to.
They literally just can't. Their body doesn't work that way.
Well, yeah, that thing's meant to move. So that's a huge point of emphasis with a lot of people because I train a lot of corporate guys that come in. They're sitting down all day and they're like walking in all hunched over.
Like this.
Yeah. So we have to pull everything back.
Does that start with like just back workouts? Like, is the posture an issue of? Because I think I heard that posture issues is a function of like weak back muscles, and then guys that like do a lot of like chest,
so true,
pulling everything forward,
exactly.
And then they're not. And to fix it, it's really strengthening your back muscles to kind of pull everything back.
The rhomboids, the lats, all that kind of stuff. Because like people will go in that don't have much knowledge of like programming and whatnot. They'll just go do 1,000 presses every time they go.
Right.
And they will get that kind of hunched, kind of. Is it concave look, when you have to have those strong rhomboids and lats and traps, pull everything back.
Mm-hmm.
But there's a whole segment I teach on just thoracic spine mobility. Opening up externally, internally, pulsing on foam rollers, doing, I don't know, it's kind of hard to just talk about.
Yeah.
This table and show you, but
yeah, no.
Yeah.
No, that makes sense. Is there, besides the back stuff, is there something with that else that you see that generally people have that are big problems that they could work on?
Ankles, hips are huge. So a lot of people, the dorsiflexion of your ankles, it's like say you were to bring your toes back to your shin. That's a dorsiflex position. A lot of people can't get into that position, which will hinder your squat. Your heels will come off the floor when you squat down if you're not able to get in that dorsiflex position. So we work dorsiflexion constantly. We do.
What's if somebody can't do that? What's preventing them from, like, are their muscles too tight? Like, is it their calf or
something on your foot called a talus bone? It's at the front. If you ever feel tightness and it runs like diagonally over the top of your foot, not around your ankle.
Okay.
So you can put a band and mobilize that. It's called a tight talus, or your soleus and the gastrocs of the calves are super tight. So you have to get the calf loosened up,
right?
To therefore loosen that ankle up.
Got it.
Yeah,
that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
So would you recommend, like, if somebody's just getting into it, step one is before you start lifting heavy weights, is it all right? Let's figure out. I think you kind of said this earlier, but let's figure out all your deficiencies. So you don't, and fix those so you don't get hurt and that you can actually lift properly.
Yes, it's all about the fundamentals first, and it takes me a session 2 or 3 to kind of feel out the client and see what needs issues, because as you implement new things, you see new issues come up and you have to test and reassess and test.
So yeah, what are these tests like? Is it just like see how far you can lift your shoulder?
Yeah, you lay down and you like flex your hip and you externally rotate. You see how far you can get over. How high can you flex the hip? You lay down and reach the arm back. The lats tight and preventing your arm from going all the way flush with the floor. Things along those lines.
Yeah, I remember because I lived in New York for a little while after college, and I got an Equinox membership because like I fucking needed.
Those things are sick.
Yeah, they're sweet. And we had a corporate rate, but I was like, I need some like a real gym to go to.
Sure.
And so I got a trainer, and the first thing we did was like test all these things, and my right shoulder, one of my shoulders was like significantly tighter than the other. Really? And then he just had me lay on a lacrosse ball and work out like parts of my.
It's a good trainer right there.
Yeah. And like then we did that same test. I mean, this was like 10 minutes later, right? It was like 10 minutes on, and it made such a huge difference. And he was like, did you have like this part's weak, like on your left leg, or like overworked. Did you have an injury on your right leg or whatever? I was like, yeah. And he's like, well, you're compensating. So it's just really interesting. Yeah, he was awesome. Nice. He was expensive as shit too.
Sure, and if he has that knowledge and whatnot, there's a guy on Instagram. He runs the Squat University account. Do you follow that account? His name's Aaron Horshing. I think that's how you pronounce it. But he's the most knowledgeable. He has like 2 million followers. It's great knowledge of lifting, form. He interviews a lot. It's a power lifter, not power lifter, but proper lifting, all that kind of stuff. And he just preaches kind of what you're just talking about.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Do you ever cringe when you're in the gym and you see people doing like, I guess you don't see a ton of people doing like power cleans or snatches, but those are things that require really good form, and you just see people.
I saw a buddy in the gym yesterday, and we were just both talking about just, it's eye-opening what goes on in a public gym, just what people are trying to do. And I joined a public gym. I train folks out of the house, out of the garage, the gym that I've built, but I'll go to the public gym to just get out for a little while.
Yeah.
And I go to Get Fit over there on 8th, and there'll be some people doing some crazy shit in there. Like, I'll have to go, you want to pick your battles and not interrupt.
So you'll say stuff.
There's been a time or two. I just
you're like, you're gonna hurt yourself.
Yeah, like, sir, I'm sorry. You tell me to go fuck off, but we gotta address this.
How many of those guys will actually listen to you?
One guy's very like appreciative of it and all this other kind of stuff. There was one girl, I did it too, and she darted some eyes at me. So I was like,
what was she doing? Do you remember?
I asked her if she needed a spot. She was like loading up the barbell with like crazy weight. I was like, damn, that's like as much as I can squat. I was like, you need a spot? She was like, get away from me. I was like, okay, I'm not going. I need to stop talking to people as much as I am, getting kind of confident with it. Just in my job, and I would be. There've been people talk to me, but like, when I'm in the gym, these trainers walk around, they're so mean, they don't even look at you, and like, they're there to. I wish they were there to help, so I kind of take that to heart. But you gotta pick your battles and that kind of stuff.
Yeah, you gotta figure out who wants to be talked to.
Exactly.
How much utility do you think there are to like the True Mavs and like these gyms where you teach a big class and everybody's different, but then they're all doing basically the same workout? Maybe they're modifying or lighter or heavy weights if it's a guy or girl. Do you think those are good for people, or should they try to get a program that's defined for them?
I think it's great for people. I mean, it comes down to the trainer a lot. You have to cater to the beginner in those kind of classes. You can't be programming crazy outlandish shit for people because one, they won't come back, and two, if you're a good, you have to spend half your time correcting the form if you're a good trainer and you walk around and you like give affirmations and you correct form, which a lot of people don't do that.
Right.
And so, it's definitely great.
Yeah, because I've done your classes and you've corrected me in the middle, and it helps. Yeah.
A lot of that to Barry's boot camp, they did a fantastic job of like training their trainers to like, slightly touch someone on the small of their back. We know where they're covered up, and just like say their name so they know that they're important in your class.
Right.
Correct the form and all that kind of shit. And that I carried that over a lot in my career, but they definitely, it's a time and place for it. There's a huge community aspect to those kind of gyms.
Yeah.
Way back, so one of my clients and I talked about this, back in the day, people would come together to like, if you were like a religious person, you'd go to the church and meet people. And now you go to the gym.
It's so true, man. Because because we all have to have community from somewhere, right? Yes. Like people, whether it's being a vegan or like whatever your thing is, like people have to have that sort of community.
Sure.
I definitely see that with the gym.
Yeah, so that's what's good about those places. And mind you, you can land on a good trainer there, and they're so saturated that it's hard to find that really, really spectacular trainer who knows exactly what they're doing in a group setting. But you can definitely make do.
How did you learn all this shit? Like, because when I met you in college, you were big, but I feel like you're way more like toned now than you were.
Well, I guess I had a long-standing like athletic career. Football and baseball. I excelled at those things. I got hurt pretty bad, and I've always been
what type of injury?
Concussions,
head injuries.
Concussions, and I was always good at moving my body and like being aware of movements and certain things along those lines. Never been good at like anything on the corporate side. Business is not my thing. I like people, and I like to move my body. Now, mind you, it's not the most money in that, but there's certain things about being a trainer. You learn different avenues of how to make money, and you have to diversify yourself within the fitness realm. Yeah. But that's a whole different topic. But I've literally learned from just experience being around it, trial and error, learning certain. I mean, the most knowledge I've learned was being at Next Level Fitness on Church Street, and the trainers there. I mean, they're older guys and girls in there and women that know so much about fitness, and they teach you things. And
did you take like those personal training tests or those?
Yeah, I took the NASM certification, and those things are just big money pits, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, because I think I can relate this to business a little bit. Like, I'm a CPA, and you learn all this shit about accounting in college, and it's like helpful to a degree, right?
Sure.
And then I remember like my first day at work, and like being asked to do all these things, and I was like, I have no fucking clue what I'm doing. And so it's like, and like I thought I knew it. Like, I'm a CPA, I have a master's in accounting. And it's like one of those things where like I feel like when you get into the real world, you really learn how like the sausage is made.
Sure.
Is it the same? Was it the same for you kind of at Next Level Fitness, where it's like you read this book and you learn all this shit, but then you go out with real trainers
Nothing
and then
applies almost.
Yeah.
It's just like the hands-on experience that you learn just working one-on-one with people. I mean, it's a whole different ball game too. Just like being a psychiatrist almost too. And, you
I
always
bet you do a lot of psychiatry.
But it's just like you always have to be on. Like, especially I don't teach the classes anymore, so I'm not like constantly in a drained state. But you always have to be up, and you have to be honest. People are paying good money to train with you, so you don't want to be a slack dick and just not.
Is that tough doing those class? Like, how many classes would you do in a typical day?
I'd do like berries. It would be a crap ton, like 3 or 4 a day. The True Mav, it wasn't more than like 2, but I mean, you just the 45 minutes of just constantly moving around and yelling and screaming.
Were you ever doing classes where you were doing? Because I think at True Mav you were more walking around.
That's how it always
observing.
Is. You don't really ever, unless you're like a spin instructor, they do it all.
So the spin instructor is like the only place you find that.
Yeah, 100%. Okay. You're not really doing the workout with the people.
Yeah. Yeah, that makes sense.
Psychopath and have something else going on.
Yeah. So okay, when somebody comes in, are you doing just in your first couple times they come in, you're kind of assessing them? I imagine there's a process where you're figuring out their goals in terms of like fitness.
Right.
What are you doing around food and nutrition? Like, what are your thoughts there? I mean, I'm sure it's catered, or what you do is catered for the individual, but are there speaking generally, what are people doing wrong in their diets? Because I thought it was interesting you said earlier, like the abs come from the kitchen. It's so true. I think people think like you can do 1 million crunches and bicycles and you're gonna have abs, but if like there's a layer of fat over them, it doesn't really matter how big they are. So I don't know, I just love to hear your thoughts on that.
Dude, yeah, I mean, the nutrition's everything. Everyone says it's like 60-40, 70-30. It's 100 and 100. If the nutrition's off, you're not going to be seeing anything in the gym. And what a lot of people go wrong, especially women, is they're not eating nearly enough.
Really?
An infant eats 1,200 calories a day. And that's what a lot of trainers and people like that don't have the knowledge will prescribe for like a macro amount or nutrient total caloric amount. And you need to be eating a lot. You need to be, obviously if you're trying to lose weight, you need to be in a caloric deficit, but you got to keep the metabolism going. Mm-hmm. If you're, constantly in that fight or flight state,
your body just shuts down.
It's always just trying to play catch up, and it's always just in that inflamed, and the opposite will happen. You'll get, especially women are very, very tough because they have cortisol levels that, if they get stressed, I guess, that's still the same for men in a sense, but seeing how my wife does things, so she has about 200 women that she deals with. She has 4 coaches that work underneath her.
That's awesome. And
she has a dietitian on her staff and all that kind of stuff, but she's really good with tracking the macros and trying to teach these people how to intuitively eat. Mm-hmm. And a lot of it happens with their mind. If your mind's not happy, then your body is not going to be happy. And she always preaches happy mind, happy body, and I've really taken that into my business as well.
So with women, what's going on when their cortisol is? That's from stress. That's a stress-related.
It's a stress-related hormone that's just released, and they're just always in that inflamed kind of.
So kind of like just like puffs you up.
Exactly, and it's also we have a lot of people that we deal with because we tag team some clients. There's some women that I work with that I'll pass along, and she'll do their nutrition and all that kind of stuff because she has much more of a knowledge about that. I can definitely logically sit here and tell you how to eat, but I'm gonna tell you on the forefront, I'm not a registered dietitian and all that kind of stuff. I'm not gonna do you a disservice by laying out meal plans and stuff for you. But she does a good job of teaching intuitive eating, and actually drawing people back off their workouts, and like maybe if you're doing 5 days a week, moving that to 3 days a week with 2 days of cardio to take that, inflammation off, and you have to kind of recycle and retrain your body, and it takes 2 months, 3 months, and these people get frustrated because they want to see
nothing happens.
Yeah. And the weight, the scale will go up and down. We're very hesitant getting people on the scales right off the bat too.
Kind of a fan of like the mirror test.
Well, yeah, and your feel, feel in mirror test, you get compliments from folks, being like, oh, see things happening, and kind of boost your spirits, and again, happy mind, happy body.
Yeah,
kind of all just translates.
That's fascinating.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts? I might be taking us down a rabbit hole here on like people who go on these hardcore like keto diets, or ridiculously high fat, no sugar. I mean, I'm sure you've had clients that have done that, right?
Of course. I've had people just like love the keto. They're like, the intermittent fasting is fine, but you just only have like the smaller window to get your calories in.
I do that.
Yeah, sure. I mean, it's fine. It works for folks. You just have to be able to get whatever calories that you need to maintain.
I just found that after doing it, like I wasn't hungry in the mornings anymore.
Sure, you kind of train yourself.
Yeah, and I kind of liked. Excuse me. I kind of liked. Because sometimes I was telling you I do that jiu-jitsu stuff, or sometimes because I work at home and it can get like the walls can close in, I'll try to work out in the middle of the day.
Sure.
And so like I'll go to like an 11:30 jiu-jitsu class, and I don't eat before it. And like I feel better than when I eat before. Now I don't, maybe I'm not eating like far enough before when I do eat it, but there's just something like, I don't know. And then like I'm starved when I get back, and it's just like I get
your glycogen levels are depleted like that.
Yeah. So then I like get to eat and it feels great, but I don't know.
You can stand to drink like BCAAs when you're in there to keep from catabolizing.
What's that?
Branched chain amino acids. It's like an intra workout. It's just like, it tastes good. It's like a flavored drink.
It's just like a powder you add.
You can get it from like anywhere, First Form, Max Effort.
What are those doing? You said it keeps it from
It just keeps from catabolizing from the muscles from eating themselves when you're hungry, know, and that it really helps. It's a good thing to do, especially during a fasted, kind of workout diet protocol. All that kind of stuff.
What are your thoughts? Because you mentioned this a second ago. 'Cause for a long time, so when I was in high school, I was like, I played football as well. I was like $170 or so, not as lean as I am now, but had a decent amount of muscle mass. And then we worked out like 5 days or all the time. And then in the off season we worked out. And then like when I finished, I remember just being like, I'm never fucking working out again. And so by the time I was like a junior at Ole Miss and drinking beer every night, like I bumped up to like 185. I don't know what my body fat was.
You lost a bunch of weight too.
Yeah. So I remember looking in the mirror one day, and I looked at my girlfriend at the time. I was like, I look fucking disgusting. So my first thing was like, I'm just going to lose weight. And I probably went about this horrible way. I just ate I think I tracked every calorie, and I was eating like 1,500 calories a day. Like a bird. Yeah. And I would run. I just did a shitload of cardio, and then like put 100 push-ups a day and like as many pull-ups as I could do throughout the day. And I got down to like 150 in probably, I don't know, 5 months. Wow. I mean, I dropped the first like 25 pounds pretty quick, and then like the last 5. But then I was like, so I guess I say that to say I've now tried to implement more like lifting. But what do you think the benefits of good cardio are? Because I've always had this idea where it's like, I want to be as like well-rounded as I can. Like I want to be able to do sprints. Like I want my muscles to be used to that, and then the next day be able to like go out and run 3 to 5 miles. Then the next day, be able to do like a decently heavy weightlifting. I mean, do you think cardio's good? I mean, I don't know. I hear people who lift a lot tend to like shit on cardio. I mostly do cardio, to be totally honest, but just because I enjoy it. Like I like running, but I don't know.
It's person to person, kind of all things fitness are person to person. But I feel like we do a lot of like, it's called LISS, L-I-S-S, low intensity steady state.
Yeah.
Whether that's I also do like central nervous system activations prior to my workouts. It'll be like you could pick a the row machine, the stationary bike, the Stairmaster, the incline treadmill,
Right.
like 4 minutes, on just get
Is
this.
this just something that doesn't have any like impact or?
Well, yeah, it has a little bit of impact. You get a little bit of a drip going,
Right.
prior to the workout, all that good stuff. Macy and I will implement that's my wife. She'll implement a lot with our clients. Just doing, depending on your goals, what you have going on, whether you're trying to lose, we'll do 15 minutes of cardio. If we need to bump it up, 20 minutes. It has its benefits for the weight loss client. It's got benefits for priming your muscles before you get going. Some people do saunas. Some people like to do that.
Yeah.
It has its mental benefits. Some people, if you look up the benefits of even walking, it does so many good things for
Just going out for a 30-minute stroll.
Do 10 to 15 minutes even.
So much of it too is going back to what you were saying before, is just like feeling good, like going on a walk and just getting that breath of fresh air, right? Can make you feel great.
During this time, we won't go into this crap, but like no one preaches the importance of being healthy during this time.
Oh man,
I've had COVID twice now, and each have been so mild. I've made myself get in the sunlight. I've made myself take vitamins. I've even done light cardio. I don't recommend doing that.
Right.
To get sweating, and that made me feel so much better.
Oh man, I totally agree. And we don't have to get down this rabbit hole, but I will say, and then I'll get off my soapbox here. There's been almost no talk of what people can do preventatively to make it health-wise. It's all about like we're just gonna wait for a shot to come out, which is great. Like, say what you want about vaccines, amazing scientific feat, but they never got on there like, look, you need to take vitamin D or you need to get out in the sun. If you're overweight, like you should really change your diet and start to lose some weight. Because instead it was like, let's just sit at home
in the dark and
get more fat and eat Cheetos and potato chips. But it's like, yeah, I mean, I don't know. Like I go to a jiu-jitsu gym during COVID and you're like wrestling people. So it's like you're exposed to it. And
and like the same thing too, like mental, like vigorous exercise has been known like for depression purposes, for mental health purposes. Dude, they have such a huge effect on that. Like there are people that I see it from the corporate side, they're struggling with their jobs and like have so much frustration.
Dude,
just,
you
like,
gotta
let's
exercise.
just walk this out for an hour, and they're like, damn, I feel so much better.
I know.
And I just push them even harder that day, just because I want them to vigorously work out and like kind of just get rid of all that kind of shit.
I know, dude. When I was working in accounting, there were guys that didn't exercise, and I was like, I would lose my fucking mind.
Man.
Like, how do you?
Numbers all the time, sitting there.
Oh my god! And they're like, well, I don't have time. And I remember telling my manager, I was like, all right. I was like, whatever time you wake up, I was like, set your alarm for 10 minutes earlier. And I was like, and then set your phone for like 5 minutes. And I was like, do burpees for 5 minutes. Like, I know you have I was like, I bet you'll get a good workout and feel like just for your mental health. Like,
dude.
yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah.
People don't.
Because a lot of people have, obviously this won't ever happen, but have, wanted to put trainers on, like, you pay like in line with your insurance company, because like they, you have these trainers to do, like, it's just obviously credentials would, allow you to be, take on people's insurance and whatnot. But that's why you want to, because we were looking into getting gyms and like a space here in town, and we wanted to have a physical therapist on site so we could run people's insurance through the gym as well, get paid out that way.
That's so interesting. Yeah. Yeah, I feel like there's the push in the corporate world, but people
they just want to be lazy, man. It's just it's so easy to be lazy these days, and like, I don't know. I don't know. I've never been that type of person.
Yeah.
I've always thrived off of moving, like I said, but so I couldn't imagine being that lazy. And
I know. I can't. When I was in New York, like I was saying, I had to get Equinox, but it helped so much because there you don't get any sunlight. Yeah. There's constant for me it was just a very anxiety producing place because there's noises everywhere, and it was like going to the gym and like doing a really hard hour-long workout or running a couple miles, even if it was on the treadmill, I just felt so much better. And like people didn't do that. Just
even in New York, I guess when it's sunny, it's still like dark on the streets.
It is because the buildings. Man, there's people, I didn't know this till I got there, but there's like all sorts of regulations when you're like building a building around like how high it can go and how wide it can be because it's like shadow rights. Yeah. So it's like
shadow rights.
Yeah, something like that where it's like they don't want your building blocking out more sunlight than it's already being blocked, which is such a fucked up problem to have.
Crazy shadow rights. Never heard of that.
It's such a weird place. Sure. But Great experience. Don't miss it.
Yeah.
But
it's a good place to visit. I don't know how people live there.
great place to go for 72 hours.
Well, it used to be a good place to visit.
Yeah. Yeah. So, can we talk about inflammation a little bit? What what are you doing to kind of help people with inflammation? Like, are you having them take ice baths or cold showers? Are you into any of that? Or
I mean, dude, it's funny you say that. The more and more, like, these people that I follow, and like the more and more I've gotten into fitness, like these ice baths and like that kind of stuff is a game changer. Like getting in the cold and what that does for your body with the cognitive, with the inflammation, with everything.
Do you ever do them?
I literally told Macy I'm buying a trough.
Yeah.
This summer, I'm going to Home Depot and buying a fucking trough.
And just filling it up with water and ice.
Because I'm a pussy when it comes to cold water, dude.
It'll make you a bitch.
Yeah, it will. Because I want to get the toe covers and finger covers.
Right.
Put
a toboggan on.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But,
dude.
I mean, you follow Wim Hof.
Oh my God, I love him.
I'm intrigued by Wim Hof.
Have you done his breathing exercises?
No.
Dude.
But I know some people that have,
You feel, so I take cold showers probably 2 or 3 times. I start out warm always because I shower in the morning before work because I can't. Yeah. But then like the last minute or so, I'll kind of like work it down. And dude, you get the biggest dopamine.
It's funny you say, I want to try it so bad. It's going to make me try it.
You got to do it. Like what I would recommend, what I tell people, because I'm like always telling my friends they got to do cold showers. They're like, you're fucking crazy. Is I'm like, dude, it's like anything else. Like if you're getting into working out, like don't kill yourself the first time you do it, or like don't jump into just a bath with ice in it.
Right.
Like take a hot shower and like turn it so it's like lukewarm and like
your breath,
you got to breathe, like breathe a lot, and like you're gonna and then like turn it a little bit colder and like see, and then like when you're like I've hit my limit, turn it off and like get out of the shower and do it a little bit and like slowly you'll work into it. But
it's a great point.
Yeah, it is. And if you do I've done Wim Hof, it like makes your whole body like warm. Like it feels like somebody just cranked up the heater in the room. And so like when you do that and you turn that cold and you turn the water cold, you do not feel cold. It's the most bizarre.
Well, it's weird because like even he talks about like, like showing yourself, like, being in the cold, those elements. Come wintertime, you don't get sick. You don't like, you're used to that kind of, you don't just get slammed by,
I know. I think there's something to it. Like I even read these stories about like the Native Americans back in the day, like would go jump in the river like first thing in the morning and get cold. Yeah.
I saw he has like a cold, like a waterfall set up at his house. He jumps in it every morning.
Yeah, dude, he's crazy. I was listening to a story of his where he was like, I mean, this sounds ridiculous, but I know it's true. He was swimming under the water, like that was in the top, like he drilled a hole in the ice and was swimming from one hole to the other, and then like his eyelids got frozen and he like almost died. But yeah, I think he also climbed Everest in his shorts and with no shirt on. Yeah. So anyway, I say that to say you should definitely try it. But yeah, I mean, what is inflammation? And I don't know if you know the answer to this. Like, what is it actually doing to people that's bad? To where I feel like there's this big movement around people saying like you gotta, get rid of inflammation. Like I understand it when you have like an acute injury, like if you roll your ankle right, your ankle balloons up, you're icing it. But
it's a great question. I mean, the answer is just kind of beyond.
Don't know.
It's a great question. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean. I don't even really know the answer to it. Yeah. But obviously the inflammation, it just keeps you from any kind of muscular recovery, any kind of, growth you're trying to, or loss, any kind of reduction or growth you're trying to see in that. It just ruins any kind of, and it comes from so many different things, too.
What do you think about supplements and like dudes taking testosterone or... Is there a place for like steroids or like I don't know? I hear people talk about this, or like I'm a big Joe Rogan fan. He talks about guys as they get older taking testosterone and
I mean, I feel like when you become 25 years old, you start losing your natural testosterone levels. And
is that how quickly it starts?
Oh my gosh, yeah. And like you start, the way you put on muscle is different, and obviously certain drives are different. And I mean, I could see myself in my 60s, getting on some kind of supplementation because I don't want to. Yeah. I mean, I know a lot of older men that they supplement, they go to these clinics, all that other kind of stuff. There's a time and place for it,
Yeah.
You know, if you've abused your testosterone, like a lot of guys, just they're lacking in that department. It's very much more prevalent than you might think. Obviously, you don't want to abuse that kind of stuff by any means. I've always been a natural.
Really? So you don't do anything?
I mean, supplements. I'll take it. You know, your pre-workout. You know,
Right, like
creatine, the BCAAs I was talking about.
Yeah.
Post, all that good stuff. I've messed around with fat burners here and there, and
Right.
You know,
over the counter regular
course,
shit.
it's
Yeah,
not
yeah.
like, you know, I'm not sticking.
Do you feel like that stuff helps, like pre-workout? I've never really taken
It
any
has
of
time
that.
and place. You know, I'm trying to get as little of ingredients as possible in my pre-workout.
Okay.
You know, I'm not trying to get a bunch of crazy shit in there. And just if I need a boost, great. If you're having to supplement a lot of energy, and if you need energy, there are problems elsewhere.
Right.
You got to think about that, so you don't just be supplementing, just crushing your, caffeine 24/7, which people abuse a lot.
What do you think about? Have you ever taken athletic greens or anything like that? Like these?
Yeah, if you're not getting your greens, is a great way to supplement those.
I've got a
things.
friend who's started taking them like 2 years ago, and he's like, Joe, I swear I haven't gotten sick in like
Really?
3 years.
Wow.
Yeah, he's
I
like,
people
I just
swear by them.
I know.
It's weird. They sell greens, but they're like berry flavored. You
That
know,
is
you'd
weird.
think it'd be like a vegetable.
Green flavored. Yeah.
Green flavored.
What's your typical diet like, or does it?
I eat everything in sight. I don't.
You do?
I mean, I eat everything in sight because I'm always on my feet. I'm always moving. You know.
So you're burning so many calories it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Like when you say everything, like will you smash a pizza or?
Well,
like,
that's I usually take. I'm like not eliminating that from my diet. You know, maybe once a month I'll eat a pizza.
Yeah.
You know, things along those lines. But I mean, shit. We eat. I mean, breakfast, lunch, and dinner. All kind of breads, carbs. You know.
Really?
Carbs, fats, nutrient dense foods. That's what we're kind of going for.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a guy who I used to be part of this running club in Nashville, and he was like, he had blown out his Achilles, but was a Olympic trial like level marathon runner.
Oh, wow.
And I was like, what's your diet? He was like, dude, everything.
Yeah.
He's like, I will eat a whole pizza, like, because he was literally like, I was running, 80 to 100 miles a week.
Oh, sure.
And he was like, there's nothing that I can't eat. Like, it just, I can't even keep the weight on.
But I mean, it's funny you say like the testosterone, your levels, and how much you eat. Like I can tell like certain things are starting. Like if I eat shitty for a long period of time, I can feel the effects a little bit more.
As your testosterone's changed?
As I'm 31 now. I'm getting
Yeah.
older, and I can definitely see like now I see what these people are talking about.
I hear people say it. They're like, you put it like, it just like doesn't work like it used to, right?
Yeah.
My mom she's super into fitness. She's 63.
Okay.
She's going to kill me for saying that. But her and I ran the Nashville half marathon like a year or two ago. So, I mean, that should give you like her level of, but she's like, I haven't changed anything about my diet. And like,
Really?
it's so much harder to like keep the weight off now. It's just unbelievable as you age. So, okay, your wife is also in personal training.
Yeah, she's not. So she doesn't do any in person at all. She does all online, as her own online business. She doesn't see anyone at all.
How does that work? Is it?
Shit, it takes a while to build something up like that. She's kind of she's not piggybacked off.
I saw, because when you guys got married, I looked up her Instagram. She had like 100,000.
She got like 110,000, and she has that whole thing, and she did like bikini competitions, and just kind of learned a way of eating and nutrition, and she saw like just the bad side of that. But that can be a destructive path. That the bodybuilding,
because there's so much focus on what you look like.
Well, yeah, and just like the psychological thing that it does for food, that people have with food, the battles they have with food, and how it just like ruins your relationship with food and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, she has built this insane business, man. That I mean, it's crazy to watch her success just out of the back office in our house. She's got a great social media presence. She has about, I don't want to make 150, 200 women that she works with.
Right.
She has like 3 or 4 coaches that work underneath her, and like I was saying,
are they when you say that like 150 or 200 women that she works with, what do you mean? Like, are they?
So like they're working underneath her. So she does like training programs for them that she'll like construct up for them and send out the program. She does other nutritions. She's constantly doing check-ins with them. They'll send pictures to her. She'll
Really?
tweet all their macros.
That's sweet.
It's wild. She's created just a huge, almost just like, little world that she's.
Do you enjoy that y'all are both like really into fitness and like getting to kind of do that together? Or
Well, yeah, I feel like a lot of trainers are wild cards in a sense. You almost have to. a lot of people that I've kind of come in contact with, we're all a little bit crazy in our own right.
Right.
You know, she understands. It's a weird schedule. It's weird hours. You work holidays. You work weekends. You work 5 a.m. You work all the time.
Can you like get away for holidays, or like how does that work? You just have to draw a line and be like, look,
She could work from China and run the same business.
Right.
You know, I have to be here. If I'm not here, I'm not making money, and that's why I'm trying to. You know, I've launched these programs. I don't know
I've seen those
on this app and platform called Train Heroic, where I'm trying to build a community on this app where people are doing exactly what I'm doing. You pay a monthly fee, and obviously for like a business perspective, it's the long game. You want to, that's the subscription business, and it's what
I feel like there's going to be a huge surge in that.
Yeah, for sure. And like I've had buddies. One of my mentors has built a team on there that has like 400, 500 people on his team.
That's awesome.
And he's built a community, and it's awesome.
I mean, it's like having a gym a gym filled with people that come every day or every week.
Exactly.
But there's no overhead, like it's just your garage or wherever you're doing it. It's a genius
thing too that these people have built, because I do a lot of one-on-one stuff on the app too. Like I've customized programs for people, and we'll use the app to coincide with what we're doing, like personally together. So I've learned the app. I've used it for a year now, and I just wanted, instead of using the generic exercise library that they had on there for people doing random shit, I wanted my teaching to be on there. So videoed every single move and keep putting content up there every month.
So if people wanted to go do that, how would they find it? What'd you say the name of the app was?
It's called Train Heroic. Okay. There's like a marketplace on Train Heroic. You just type in my name, but I also, post the link 24/7, and you can find the link in my bio and all that kind of stuff on Instagram, and it's an easy click away to sign up.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, man.
How much time are you spending like trying to brand on social media?
Man, I should spend more. It's expensive to promote and like do those marketing promotions and stuff like that. I mean, that's how I use it to get my workouts out there and like show what I do and all that kind of stuff. It's wild that social media, I hate it, but I need it,
Yeah, I feel the same way.
Yeah. It's like without it, Macy, she makes thousands of dollars a month on that thing,
That's crazy. Is it just from advertisements or from like the clients she's bringing?
She has like a media kit that, she's made up, and, if companies want to work for her, she sends them the media kit, and that's what she requires in order for them to work with her. And she's built that.
That's so cool. From nothing.
She's good at it too.
How long did it take her to build that up?
5 or 6 years, probably, and she's herself on there. She's always talking into her phone, and like she has like her cult following, and all that kind of stuff.
That's awesome.
It's wild,
So I know we're getting a little we're running around noon.
Yeah.
All right, I want to ask you one last topic, and then I'll let you run. Yeah. If you don't want to talk about this is fine, but I'd love to hear the story about you getting involved in reality TV and what that was like. Just like a couple nuggets, because I think it's really interesting.
Yeah, man. I guess season 1 was 4 or 5 years ago now. I was still,
Tell people, for people who don't know, what the name of the show was.
Yeah, it's called Music City. Don't go watch it. It kind of took the spot. Like that was a time that Nashville was kind of fading off, the show Nashville, and they had their time on ABC, and then CMT picked them up in the later seasons, and they needed some bullshit show to come fill the void of Nashville, so they put Music City in, the stepchild of Nashville. And
what was that like?
It was it was a cool opportunity. I was single. I didn't have much going for me at the time. I was trying to find out my reason, my why in life, and because your 20s are weird. So I got this weird, this message on Facebook being like, reality TV shows coming to Nashville. It's the same producers from The Hills. We're going to be doing it. If you're interested, fill out this questionnaire.
Yeah.
So I filled it out, and I got this weird phone call from like an LA number of like 2 months later.
Did it seem like bullshit when you're like doing it? Were you like, is this even real? Or
yeah. And they called me, and it was this girl who I still love to this day. Her name's Kristen Webley. She was in charge of doing all the casting, and she was like, we read over your stuff, and you don't really have like your traditional Nashville like wannabe cowboy vibe about you, and they're like, and I was kind of telling them about my family, because my family's pretty interesting. We were pretty close at the time. My cousin Allie was on the show with me, and she had a dynamic about her. She won Miss Tennessee, was top 5 Miss USA, so they had that, and it was just an opportunity, and ended up getting having 2 seasons on there, and it was part of it was cool, and there's other things I want to have back. But...
How much of it is real versus staged? Because...
Well, so they have, they get with you before the show, before your week starts in your life, and they're like, what's going on in your life this week? Are you doing anything fun? Like, do you have anything, at that time, I'd go out, every now and again during the week, and they would make scenarios kind of fit their storyline based off of your life events, and they would.
Okay, what do you mean by that? Like,
kind of. So I had like a blind date with some, like the very first thing I ever filmed was a blind date with some random girl that was on the show. Her name was, I won't go into her name, but, they had us like go to LA Jackson. That was the first thing I filmed. Right. In front of like, the people were just there having their own night, like 300 people up top. And we were just in the corner,
just like being filmed with lights and everything.
What the hell is going on right now?
I actually saw something like this. So this was like a random Wednesday night. One of my buddies was having a birthday, and we were like, let's go to, have you been to Centennial? It's just a little bar.
I love it, dude.
Yeah, great fucking bar. Like best wings in Nashville. Anyway, so we're at Centennial, which is like a hole in the wall. And all of a sudden these dudes with like, or we get to the door and we're having to like sign waivers. And I'm like, they're like, do you want to be on TV? Sure. And I'm like, sure, I guess. So I think it was very Cavallari.
Sure, yeah.
And so we're like in there, and then like all these dudes like come in and start like hanging fucking lights from the ceiling, and like
it's intimidating.
Yeah, and then I remember what was weird is the guy and the girl that were like there on a date were like hanging out, right? As all this stuff's being set up.
Sure.
And then the camera crews, I guess, get ready, right? And then she leaves. And he sits down, and then she walks in, and they film her walking in, and he's like, "Hey, so good to see you." I'm like, "Okay."
You have to do that like a lot. You have to like they'll like
really
redo like certain things of like walk-ins. They'll redo scenes. They'll like say this instead. Like, but it's for TV, and you know that going into it.
And everybody who's watching knows.
You would think,
degree, right?
Dude, a lot of people out there think it's like of course people see shit on TV and they're like, that's real,
right?
We've seen that this past year. Whatever people see on TV they think is real. So that's kind of how it goes. People were like, I can't believe you treat so and so like that. I'd be like, bro,
they told me to say that. Yeah,
it's a reality TV show. Get over yourself. But, I mean, we got to do some cool things. We got to go beyond like Watch What Happens Live on Bravo. We got to meet a bunch of cool people, do some red carpet events that I'd never be able to do otherwise. So it was a blessing in a lot of ways, but a lot of things I wish I didn't.
Yeah. That's so interesting. Yeah. You're the only person I know that's ever done that, but it's pretty fucking cool.
Well, thanks, man. Yeah.
Well, look, dude, I really appreciate you coming on.
I appreciate
this.
You.
This was awesome.
Yeah,
you're the man. I'm going to have to come hit you up to get my workout routine straight.
Yeah, buddy.
So appreciate the time.